Does this film float? Let's find out. Hello Fanatics, I'm Dylan Phillips, and this is the Film Fanatic Review bringing you It, starring Bill Skarsgard, Jaeden Lieberher, and Sophia Lillis. First, we'll tell you what the movie is about and our initial thoughts. Then we'll move on to some spoiler-free likes and dislikes. We'll finish up with our spoiler-heavy thoughts on this film, and our final word. It follows the story of a group of bullied kids who band together when a killer clown starts hunting children. Overall, I was blown away by this film. I'm not a huge horror person, but in the past couple years, it started to grow on me. I never read the It novel, but I saw the miniseries, and I can honestly say that I think that this film is much better. For what I liked about this film, let's start off with the best part, the cast. Skarsgard's Pennywise is absolutely terrifying and doesn't rip off Tim Curry's original rendition, yet he's still overshadowed by the Losers Club. Child actors, as I've said time and again, are hit or miss, and there are quite a few in this movie, and yet all of them are absolutely fantastic. They have great chemistry, and each of the characters feels relatable and real. I can't even shout out just one because the whole cast was so good. It gave a vibe of Stranger Things, The Goonies, Sandlot, or Stand By Me. The story is fun yet frightening, but it's so much more than that. It's a smart horror film. The narrative blends melodrama with psychological torment as it's a coming-of-age high school story with horror elements thrown in. The dialogue is real and believable as the kids talk to one another like true friends do, tons of swearing and ripping on each other. So many of Finn Wolfhard's one-liners had the entire audience chuckling. And finally, the direction. The setup and delivery, not only on the jump scares but the dramatic moments as well, helped to beautifully build the intensity throughout the film. As for what I disliked, there honestly wasn't very much. The film isn't as scary as I was anticipating, but that isn't a big issue considering how deeply layered the story is. Some of the kids don't get as much development as the others in the main cast, but to be honest, there's 7 of them, so it's very hard to have fleshed out characters for not only those 7, but the secondary characters as well. I found all of the adult characters creepy and very cliched, but that's understandable in a story like this because it's from the perspective of the kids, and so it's their perception of the adults that are in their lives. And there was one scene that came across as more comical than anything, but I'll explain which one in the spoiler section. And that's where I'll end our spoiler-free thoughts on this film. If you want to hear our final word or rating of this film, pause now and click the link in the description, because now it's time for spoilers. First off, did Jaeden Lieberher remind anybody else of George McFly from Back to the Future 2? The scene I wasn't a big fan of in this film was in Pennywise's lair when he's captured Beverly and taken her down there, and he opens the carnival cart where he's dancing in front of her. I understand this scene is supposed to be an intense scene that's building as she's trying to find a way to escape, but just the weird focus on his head while he's dancing back and forth was more comical than anything. It honestly reminded me of Chandler and Friends, where he is scared of the Irish water dance because their legs move independent from their bodies. Yes, that's the sort of thing that goes through my mind while I'm watching It. I also loved Finn Wolfhard's character in this film. His attitude and witty jabs at his friends were a great comic relief for this film. And the best scenes to me were the opening with Georgie in the street. Every time each member of the Losers Club had to deal with it as it manifested as their fear. Then there was the fight on the river with the rocks. You had every scene in the abandoned house, which were absolutely terrifying, and then the final climax where they're fighting Pennywise in his lair. So, with the thoughts heard, here's our final word. It is an entertaining and intense psychological horror that relies on its Stephen King storytelling rather than falling into typical horror cliches. With unbelievable performances from its cast, a deeply layered story, and great direction, you'll certainly float too. This film had so much going for it aside from its horror elements, as it's an emotionally gripping coming-of-age story at its core, and yet Pennywise is absolutely terrifying at the center of it, so I'm gonna give it a 9. Thanks everybody for watching our review. Are you planning on seeing it, or if you've already seen it, do you have something to add? What did you think of the story? Let us know in the comments below. I'm Dylan Phillips, and this has been the Film Fanatic Review. If you like this video and you want to see more, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Check out our latest Fanatic 5 video where we discuss the top Reese Witherspoon roles. Don't forget to follow us on our social media. And until next time, Fanatics, keep it real.